Okay, I apologize. I got so wrapped up in my talking about interest and wise purchases that Screencast-O-Matic ended. So it'll only record 15 minutes. So I'm having to do a part two to finish up this simple interest lesson. We're going to just jump back in where we were. Example 4. Quick Shelter has two options. Option 1 is $2,500. Option 2 is the same price, but a longer time, a lower interest rate. Again, we're going to talk about this because this is a very, very, very important life skill. Which option will cost more money in the end? Okay, so let's see. I'm dealing with option number 1. And option number 1 is $2,500. My rate is 0.10. Okay, remember we have to divide these percentages by 100 in order to get a rate. So both of these need to be divided by 100. This will make this rate 0.10, and that'll make this rate 0.03. But back to option number 1, you're going to finance this for 2 years' time. Now let's see how much interest you're going to pay with option 1. So again, I'm calculating this in real time. $2,500 times 0.10, 10, times 2, and you're going to pay $500 in interest. Okay, yeah, could have done that in my head, sorry. Option number 2, let's compare this to option number 2. You're still going to get that $2,500 building. This time, though, you're going to finance it at a lower interest rate for a longer time. Now, notice again, we have a lower rate, but we have a longer time. And I don't know the answer to this particular question. I made this problem up. It's the first time I've ever done it. But this is something that you should always, always compare when you are dealing with interest. Compare the rate and compare the term. Another word for term is time. And you need to compare and see which is going to charge you less interest in the end. You don't just go with the lower interest rate. You don't automatically assume that 3% is always better than 10%, because I learned somewhere that the lower the rate, the better. That is not true, okay? The rate and the time work together, and those two things together are what determine how much interest you're going to pay. You can raise the rate, lower the time, or you can lower the rate and raise the time. Sometimes you can lower both, sometimes you can raise both, but these two things work together. Okay, let's see what option 2 is going to have us paying in interest. $375. So in this particular case, see, this is different than example 3. We're actually better to go with the lower rate, but a longer time. So you cannot always, in every situation, say, definitely go with the lower rate, because example 3 is a good example of when that did not work. But example 4, you do want the lower rate over a longer period of time because it's going to save you money. What is the difference in the two? Well, you've got $500 minus $375, and that is a difference of $125. So you're going to save $125 by going with this second option. Okay? To be honest, it's fairly unusual. Typically, you're trying to go with the shortest amount of time. To be even more honest, I made these examples up myself, and I probably didn't pick my percentages and my time very carefully. But again, let me wrap this lesson up. Interest, interest, interest. We all pay interest. We pay interest on credit cards. We pay interest on personal loans. We pay interest on layaway. We pay interest on houses, cars, motorcycles, all kinds of things. We deal with interest, and you want to be a smart consumer. You do not go anywhere and just say, what's your rate? Because that is only one factor in interest. You have rate and time, and those two factors work together to determine the amount of interest. So don't ever, ever, ever get hoodooed by someone who says, oh, well, I can offer you a lower interest rate. Yeah, over 5,000 years time, and that's not doing me any good. Okay, so please, please, please take this to heart. We're going to have a discussion post this week on interest, and I want you to think about how interest affects your life. Have you been a wise consumer in paying interest? It's really something to think about, and it's very important that you as a consumer learn that interest is based on two factors, really three. How much money you're dealing with, how much money you're putting in the situation, obviously. The other two, though, which may not be quite as obvious, are the rate and the time. And those two things can go up or down, and they can go to your advantage or your disadvantage. And this is a very, very, very important life skill.